Don't mind the hair. Don't mind the production quality. We're going to have some visuals on screen so you don't have to see whatever's going on here. Today, we're talking about sleepers for week 3 fantasy football. I define sleepers as guys who are started in less than 40% of leagues. That is based on ESPN starting percentages. I know a lot of you guys want to shit on ESPN, but guess what? I'm going to use whatever resources are free and available to me. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. First quote unquote sleeper is Justin Fields, currently the quarterback 18 per expert consensus rankings. I will just call it ECR from here on out. I have him as my quarterback 12 on the week. You may be asking me, why would I play Justin Fields? Only 4% of people in ESPN leagues are starting him. I'm going to tell you why. He might not be the best player in the NFL. I would go as far as to say he is nowhere close to the best player in the NFL, but the kid can run and he's got a strong arm, and that's all you really care about for fantasy football. Jalen Hurts is being started confidently as a top 10, top 8, top 5 option on a weekly basis. And I don't think anybody can confidently say that he's anywhere close to a top 5 or top 10 quarterback in the league. Sometimes real life talent and real life production does not translate to how good you are for fantasy. Obviously, the more you produce, the better you are in fantasy. But a running quarterback typically isn't valued as highly as a quarterback who can stay in the pocket like Mahomes, Brady, whatever. I'm not going to debate that. All I'm going to say is Justin Fields has a very good chance to end the week as a quarterback 1, not only because of his skill set, but number 2, because of the weapons he has, and number 3, the matchup that he faces. I know the Browns are a very, very, very good team, but with these rushing quarterbacks, when they face good pass rushes, when you have Myles Garrett hounding off the edge, Justin Fields isn't staying in the pocket and dumping it off. He's going to try to find a hole, try to find a lane, and run straight through that thing like Lamar Jackson, like Kyler Murray, like Jalen Hurts, like these mobile quarterbacks. And if you are in a 4-point per passing touchdown league, 6-point per rushing touchdown league, those rushing yards add up. If he puts up 80 yards on the ground and only throws for 1 passing touchdown, that's the equivalent of a guy like Tom Brady throwing for 3 passing touchdowns, because those 80 yards on the ground is equivalent to 2 additional passing touchdowns. So I really like his skill set. I like the fact that Darnell Mooney is out there. He's currently banged up on the week, but I think he's going to play. They have him. They have Allen Robinson. They have Cole Kmet. Their backfields can even catch passes in Dave Montgomery and Damian Williams in case he is rushed in the pocket and has to find a dump-off option. He has big play guys on the outside. Like I said, Mooney. Like I said, Allen Robinson. Also Marquise Goodwin. I really like the situation and matchup for him to potentially put up a good fantasy outing, especially on broken plays where he can scramble and kind of innovate outside the pocket. Maybe find Mooney, maybe find Goodwin deep on a broken play and turn one throw into 40, 50 yards and a touchdown. So it might be a little optimistic, but if you're asking me if I'd rather start him or like Baker Mayfield or like Jared Goff or some other guys like Kirk Cousins, give me the upside of Justin Fields this week. Second sleeper only started in 39.6% of leagues, so he is just on that cusp of 40%. Mike Davis, ECR running back 28, my ranking running back 18. Mike Davis is pretty good. I'm not going to say he's great, but he's pretty good. And you look at the situations he's found himself in this year thus far. Week 1, they were getting blown out by Philly, so he didn't really have the opportunity to put up big numbers or a lot of volume on the ground. Last week played Tampa Bay. Nobody can run in Tampa Bay, so I don't blame him for having a down game as well. This week, much easier matchup in a game that should be much closer against the New York Giants. And, as I said before, he didn't really have the best numbers in terms of production, but his usage was still there despite Cordarrelle Patterson outscoring him in both games. He had a 64% snap share, at least in both those games, I believe 64 and 71, week 2 and week 1, respectively. He's still seen 18 and 16 touches in both games, despite these bad matchups and bad game scripts for him to be on the field. And amongst all running backs in the league, he is 3rd in targets. He saw 7 last week. He is 5th in catches. I think he caught all of them last week. And he is 6th in weighted opportunities, which puts more emphasis on receptions, but still takes into account rushes. So he's getting plenty of opportunity, plenty of run on an offense that I'm not going to say it's up and coming, but it can't be much worse than what it's shown thus far. And they get their easiest matchup of the year this week. I think Mike Davis is in line for a middling RB2 performance. After Mike Davis, I have Javonte Williams, ECR running back 27. He is running back 21 in my ranks. He hasn't done too much thus far, but he has looked very, very, very good. He is 5th in evaded tackles, 3rd in juke rate, which is just evaded tackles divided by the amount of touches that he's gotten. So on the touches he's gotten, he's been very elusive. He has seen 14 and 15 touches in his first 2 weeks. And I think against the Jets, with the Broncos being a dominant defense and Zach Wilson being a little bit banged up and also not being able to keep the ball in his team's hands, I think Denver is set up for a lot of good field positions. And this could be the week that Javonte Williams starts to edge out Melvin Gordon, starts to earn that role. And we are not completely sure who the goal line back is going to be in Denver yet, because the team only has one 10 zone carry, none inside the 5. It did happen to go to Javonte Williams, that 10 zone carry. We don't know who the goal line back is. I would say it's probably Melvin Gordon, but who knows? In a matchup like this, they might want to get their rookie that they have a heavy investment in. They want to get him going. And Melvin Gordon only has 1 year left on his contract, and he could be one of those guys that if Javonte Williams ends up breaking out, who knows? Melvin Gordon could be traded to a team like San Francisco or Miami or, I don't know, Buffalo, a team that might need a running back and thinks that a veteran presence like Melvin Gordon can take them over the top. I don't know how the money works out, but I could see that potentially happening. I like Javonte Williams a lot rest of season, but especially for this week, a lot of short field situations on a team that should be playing from ahead. I think he is going to see in the range of 20 touches, maybe not 20, probably like 17, 18, 19. And if that's the case against the Jets, I think that can turn in for a very good fantasy day. Last running back sleeper, ECR running back 29, my ranking running back 23. It is Kenyan Drake of the Las Vegas Raiders. This is if Josh Jacobs sits, but even if Josh Jacobs doesn't sit, we've seen out of Kenyan Drake that his role stays fairly similar. And even if Josh Jacobs is out there, he kind of plays just a Chase Edmonds role in an offense that's looking fairly good on a team that has a decent enough defense. He's currently 6th in targets in the NFL, 5th in receptions, 3rd in receiving yards. And last week with Josh Jacobs out, he played 71% of the snaps. I know Peyton Barber outcarried him, but Peyton Barber, we've seen it time and time again. This guy stinks. And then again, Kenyan Drake hasn't been all that good these past few years, but at least he can catch passes. I don't think that Peyton Barber is like some otherworldly talent on the goal line. I don't see them just pulling Kenyan Drake off the field if he's on the field the entire drive and they make it down to the goal line and they're in hurry up. They're not going to just pull him for Peyton Barber. So he has that upside, definitely has receiving upside capabilities. It's a revenge game against Miami. And you can look at Kenyan Drake's rushing stats thus far and be a little disappointed in what his output has been. But he's played Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh has been very good this year, only have allowed 117 rushing yards on the season. Baltimore kind of just stymied Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And obviously they played against Las Vegas, and Josh Jacobs lucked into 2 touchdowns, but he had like 34 yards. So he's played 2 good run defenses. He plays a Miami team where Devin Singletary just killed them. Damian Harris just killed them. And those are 2 teams that I guess the Patriots like to run the ball a lot, but the running backs in Buffalo aren't anything special, and they tore him the fuck up. So I think Kenyan Drake, despite not being the most talented guy, could have a very, very solid outing against them. As far as receivers go, my first receiver, ECR wide receiver 29, is Devonta Smith. He's my wide receiver 21. He leads the team in targets with 15. He had 168 air yards last week, and he turned that into a whole lot of zeros in the stat column, in the production column, in terms of fantasy point output. But he plays the Dallas Cowboys this week. It's a divisional primetime game. He and Hurts have some sort of rapport. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a competitive game. He is obviously the top option in this passing game. He's a top 2 option on a team that is facing a soft defense. Maybe he gets Diggs this week. Who really cares? He's going to get the volume. He's going to get the air yards. He is an elite route runner. He is always open. It's just going to take a few passes from Jalen Hurts, a few accurate passes, for him to turn in a very, very good fantasy outing as he did in week 1. And last up, I have Rondale Moore, kind of being disrespected. He is the wide receiver 40 per ECR. He's my wide receiver 28 on the week. I get it. He doesn't play a lot of snaps. He's like the 4th wide receiver on this team in terms of opportunities, but I'd rather be a week early than a week late on Rondale Moore. Typically, I feel the other way, but I'm already 2 weeks late on Rondale Moore. He went from 35% to 50% of the snaps from week 1 to week 2. He went from 5 to 8 targets from week 1 to week 2. He is slowly overtaking AJ Green. He is slowly overtaking Christian Kirk. He is being manufactured touches in this offense, and he is elite after the catch. And he's also playing the worst defense in the league in the Jacksonville Jaguars, at least like bottom 2, definitely bottom 1, because they fucking stink. So even if it's 5, 6, maybe 7 targets, even if his volume isn't crazy, he's a guy that can turn those targets and low ADOT targets at that into a whole lot of production. He's 3rd in YAC in the NFL, 9.1 yards after catch per target, which is ridiculous. He's not relying on deep passes. I know last week he scored that deep touchdown, which was kind of a broken play, and he was wide open, but he's a guy who can be set up on screenplays, catch 4 screens and take that for like 83 yards, maybe a touchdown. I think he is being widely disrespected because people see that he isn't playing a lot of snaps, but can't put 2 and 2 together and figure, hey, he's not playing a lot of snaps and he's this good. He's going to start earning more snaps, and it's already week 3. He's already looking like one of, if not the best rookie receiver in the NFL right now. He's going to find his way into the field more than a 30-something-year-old AJ Green. And we know what Christian Kirk is. He's just not what we thought he was going to be coming out of college. Rondale Moore looks like the real deal. Looks like he could be the wide receiver 2 in Arizona as early as this week. And I am willing to make that bet and willing to start him as a high-end wide receiver 3 option in my flex spot, or however your roster ends up turning out with him in there. I'm willing to start him this week against a terrible Jacksonville team because it looks like a prime spot for him to officially establish himself as one of the go-to options in Arizona. Now, that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed. I will be doing this video as well as the other 2 I put out every single week going forward, hopefully, crossing my fingers that I will keep up to date with that. Tomorrow, I will be doing a live stream, and I wish you guys luck in your fantasy matchups this week. If you lost McCaffrey yesterday, my prayers are going out to you. But then again, my prayers aren't going out to you because it's fucking fantasy football, and there's a lot more things that are more valuable in this world than your first-round pick pulling his hammy and sitting on his couch making $35 million. But that's it for today. We'll see you guys sometime soon. Peace. Chatham's on. Foolies glad I'm home. Even my haters kinda glad I'm on. Rest in peace to my vagabond. Rapper, song, singer, suspended, subpoena from misdemeanors, dreamer, held back asses, Loki still a deer, and I still shake a boat squat. Ran for my broke, got city on the come up. Shot that nigga Sosa. Shot my nigga Fat Trail. Shot my nigga Joseph. Playing Buenos Aires while they sleep in Buenos Noches.